Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we've got one more Pokemon V to look at. Am I excited? Indeedee I am. Are these Indeedee jokes gonna get old sooner rather than later? Indeedee they are. We've got Indeedee V to be having a little bit of a look at. The Pokemon that, well, it's been a long time since we had so many easy dad jokes built into one Pokemon, and I, for one, am rather grateful. Indeedee I am. Okay, we're done for a minute. So, Indeedee then, one of the new Pokemon from Sword and Shield, and what we see here is 180 HP, which is actually on the low end for Pokemon V. It's down there with Meowth V and Celebi V as the weakest ones that we've seen. So, you know, sorry about that. But you are a psychic Pokemon, and there are plenty of advantages to being a psychic Pokemon. Firstly, you're hitting a pretty nice weakness against stuff like Mewtwo and Mew, which is quite nice, and actually fighting Pokemon as well. Things like Marshadow and Machamp, though they're not seeing a huge amount of play at the moment. And then, of course, you can take away your weakness using Jirachi GX, except you can't, because you don't have a psychic weakness. Now, I had to go and double check on Cerebi.net, still the best Pokemon fan site by a margin, and Indeedee is a psychic normal Pokemon. But it's all been switched around. You see, if we go back to things like Mewtwo and Mew, psychic Pokemon in the Sun and Moon era, we've got a weakness to psychic, no resistance. Well, Indeedee is the first psychic Pokemon we've seen from Sword and Shield, and we see a weakness to darkness and a resistance to fighting, which incidentally is what we would expect from Ghost-type Pokemon. Take Miss Magius as an example. In Sun and Moon, well, it seems like psychic Pokemon are now copying Ghost-type Pokemon, which means that Ghost-type Pokemon will be the same as psychic, essentially, in the trading card game. So that's kind of weird. That's a pretty big... No, sorry, that's a gigantic change. Now, it does mean you're hitting Mewtwo and Mew for weakness and they're not hitting you for weakness, which is pretty sweet. It means you're being hit for weakness by Darkness Pokemon, but Zoroark rotated out. What Darkness Pokemon are good right now? Hooper? And actually, to be fair, Hooper is really good. And that's what you need to be worried about weakness-wise. Because if you play too many abilities, and as you can see, this has an ability, Evil Admonition will take you down. The magic number is 4. If you've got 4 abilities in play, Evil Admonition will do 90, doubled for weakness will be 180 and get a KO. So actually, you're fairly low HP, relatively, combined with the fact that you've now got a darkness weakness, makes Hooper way better and kind of like a silver bullet against you, if I'm honest. Resistance to fighting, it's nice to have a resistance. Psychic Pokemon didn't used to have one, now they do. And it's like we said in a video the other day, resistance is now minus 30 rather than minus 20. So this is good news, frankly. Unless you want to play a fighting deck, like I do. I pretty much always play fighting decks. Anyway, the ability, Watch Over. Once during your turn, you may heal 20 damage from your active Pokemon. Cool. I mean, I remember, right, when we had a Jinx that healed 10 damage from your active, and this Jinx saw a fair amount of play. It really was quite nice. Now, the difference is, Jinx said, if this Pokemon is on your bench, you may heal 10 from your active. This just says, you may heal 20 from your active, which firstly is twice as much, but secondly, it includes Indeedee. Indeedee it does. I promise you, that is the last one this video. No, I can't make that promise, but I will try and make that the last one this video. The point is, you can sit on the bench and heal your active, or you can sit in the active and heal yourself. Either is pretty good, and healing is nice. And this adds up. I mean, the last one we had that healed 20 was Shaman, and Shaman saw a lot of play. It's a Shaman from Lost Thunder. It healed 20 from your active grass Pokemon, and in Celebi and Venusaur decks before they became unplayable, this was really, really good. And Celebi and Venusaur decks, I mean, yeah, they would play Life Forest Prism Star, but it wasn't like they relied on that, because it's a Prism Star is limited to 1 per deck, they were largely using like Potion and Shaman for their healing. And this works for anything. This is good healing, and we like it very, very much indeed. The healing here is great. You do have lower HP than we'd like, and what seems with Hooper, and Hooper's a one of in a lot of decks, to be a fairly bad weakness, and yeah, it's not ideal. Good news is Great Catcher will not be able to gust you up, given that you are a V, not a Pokemon GX, but it's still a 2-prize liability on the bench. Good news is there's nothing that says it doesn't stack, so you could potentially have 4 Indeedee on the bench, be healing 80 from your active every turn. Yeah, that's going to add up pretty quickly. I like it. It's a good ability. It's going to be really good for blocking decks. Just be wary you potentially are a 2-prize liability on the bench. And then we get to the attack Psychic, and as soon as I say Psychic, you should know what it does. More damage for each energy on the defending Pokemon. We've seen this attack many times before in the trading card game. 1 Psychic, 2 colorless energy, 10 damage base, plus 60 more for each energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. It's pretty good. This seems like it's tailor-made for Tag Team GXs. I mean, take Reshiram and Charizard as an example, right? Reshiram and Charizard sits there, and at some point during the game, you're hoping that you're going to be able to get 6 energy on there, so that you can hit for 300 damage going through any effects on the defending Pokemon. But as soon as you get 6 energy on there, Indeedee comes in and hits for 370 damage. That's quite a lot. Now, if you've only got 4 energy on for Flare Strike, Indeedee will hit 250. 60 times 4 is 240, add the 10 is 240, and that's a little bit too low. But it's still a rather gigantic amount of damage. I mean, against something like Mewtwo and Mew, if Mewtwo and Mew have the audacity to put 2 energy on, you're actually hitting 260. 2 times 60 is 120, add the 10 is 130, doubled is 260, which is annoyingly actually 10 damage short still. Yeah, there seems to be a bit too much 10 damage short here. But the point is, it's a really good counter against Mewtwo and Mew. Remember, they can get Jirachi out, and if they get Jirachi out, that is going to be a gigantic problem for you. Although Jirachi has 160 HP, gives up 2 prizes, and can be dragged in the active using Great Catcher, so I still don't feel terribly bad here about my opponent bringing out a Jirachi. Jirachi just seems like it's asking to be taken out. But any energy-hungry Pokemon is going to go down to this. I mean, one that springs to mind is one we looked at yesterday, Lapras V Max. Lapras V Max, very good Pokemon, but very energy-hungry. The attack for 3 colorless energy minimum does 90 damage, plus 30 more for each water energy attached to Lapras V Max. But every energy they attach does 30 more for them, and 60 more for you. So clearly, against something like Lapras V Max, you're going to be having a whale of a time. I know it's not a whale, but you know, bear with me. The point I'm making here very simply is that this is a really good tech against any energy-hungry deck. Now, if you're against a bunch of single energy attackers, let's take the Stonejourner V, which I talked about recently. You're not going to do a huge amount against them, at least if they're using the first attack. If they're using the first attack, you're doing 70 damage. It's not good enough. But then again, if they're using the second attack, then you're hitting 190, and then all of a sudden, you're pretty close to getting a KO. If nothing else, this is the kind of Pokemon that forces your opponent into some awkward decisions. Do I attach extra energy, but risk potentially being KO'd? Or do I not attach extra energy, and then I'm not potentially going to be able to do all the things that I want to do? And that's where we go here. That's why this is such an important Pokemon. And even if your opponent isn't attaching lots of energy, and you're not able to do much damage with Indeedee, you've still got the healing going on. And that's why I really like this Pokemon so much. You really do have that, well, you can either use it in a healing deck, or you can use it as a tech to take down Pokemon with lots of energy attached. Either way, it's pretty good. Now, speaking of energy, it's really not a problem energy-wise. Obviously, we've got Malamar with it being a psychic Pokemon, But the other thing is that it's 1 psychic, 2 colourless energy, which means we can legitimately use Welder here. And I say legitimately use Welder because Latios is 1 psychic, 2 colourless energy, and that works just fine in Welder decks. And Espeon and Deoxys is 1 psychic, 2 colourless, and that works just fine in Welder decks. So this will work very nicely. So the energy cost isn't an issue here, which is a really nice relief. Don't worry about the energy cost. You've got healing, good. You've got a decent counter to Pokemon that attach lots of energy, good. Calling me a bit of a fan, I'm giving it 4 Wassies. I think it's a good Pokemon. But I'd like to know what you think. So, maybe you head on down to the comment section and go nuts while being nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at The Wassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio. where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of good stuff. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.